I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll start out with roll call. Director Gregory, if you could start us, please.
Hiroshiato, District 5.
I'm alive. This is Claire Wilson, Director 2. I'm sorry, I jumped because I wasn't ready for the gavel and it scared me.
Jeffrey McAnally, Director, District 1.
Ms. Drake, Director, District 3.
Tammy Campbell, Superintendent.
All right, and now I think if we could all rise for the presentation of the colors by Todd Beamer, High School JROTC.
Forward. March.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you will please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carry. Pledge. Order. Pledge. Right. Face. Forward. Pledge. Forward. March.
Please be seated. Our next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion at this time.
I move that the Board of Education approve the meeting agenda of January 12th, 2016 as submitted.
A motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. And I would entertain a motion at this time.
I move that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda of January 12th, 2016 as submitted.
Hear a motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
It's been motioned and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so at this time I'll turn it over to Dr. Tammy Campbell for board recognition.
Well, this is a special night in that this month is School Board Recognition Month, and so I'm going to actually come down to the podium to share some of our appreciation for our board, and I'm going to ask the board to come down and stand in front of the dais. Good evening, President McAnally, members of the board, and members of the audience. Tonight we pay special attention and recognition to our school board for the hundreds of hours each of you have dedicated to ensure we have the policy and the vision in place that will propel our 22,500 student scholars toward very bright futures. I can say that as superintendent, I feel very fortunate to have a school board that aligns with the vision that I'm so passionate about, that our schools are to ensure that each student scholar is successful. Not a section of the district not a piece of the district, but each of you have stood for and continue to stand for all students. You are an incredible group to work alongside. I'd like to now read the proclamation from our governor. On December 1st, 2015, Governor Jay Inslee proclaimed January as School Board Recognition Month. This marks the 21st year of the annual observance initiated by the National School Board Association in 1995. As the superintendent of Federal Way Public Schools, I would like to take the time to honor our board of directors for the critical role they play in developing policies in accordance with the policy governance and ends focus of our student scholars to graduate with the academic knowledge and the 21st century skills ready to succeed as responsible citizens. We are fortunate to have a board of directors involved in the local and state levels, influencing policy and service of our local community and schools, as well as the broader educational community as a whole. At this time, I would like to take the time to honor each of you with a certificate of recognition. I'd like Liz Drake to come forward and receive your certificate of recognition from WASDA. Jeffrey McAnalloy. Claire Wilson. Hiroshi Eto. Carol Gregory. In addition to the work that they do in terms of serving our community, they have also been learners, and WASDA has issued WASDA recognition of proficiency certificates. Our board members are committed to learn new skills and increase their understanding of issues that affect education and our district through professional learning opportunities, including the attendance of WASDA's annual conference. Board President Jeffrey McAnalloy, Vice President Claire Wilson, and Board of Directors Hiroshi Eto and Liz Drake attended the 2015 WASDA annual conference and earned proficiency certificates. I will share these with you at this time. Advanced Leadership and Equity and Access, 2 certificates, Hiroshi Eto. Advanced Leadership, Equity and Access, Jeffrey McAnalloy. Advanced Leadership, Equity and Access, Claire Wilson. Advanced Leadership, Equity and Access, Liz Drake, as well as Foundations of Leadership. Got 3. You will notice that I did not call up our very own Carol Gregory, but she was serving us in our state, doing everything she could on behalf of the district so that we had the policies and the legislation behind us. So I want to thank you for your service at that time because I know how busy and committed you were. So thank you. Give our board another round of applause, please. So as you return to your seats, leadership from our Federal Way Principals Association will start out by acknowledging and recognizing your service. So I'll invite our president of the, you're coming together, coming as a team. Come on up. There you go.
Good evening, everyone. Just a short bit of thanks from the Federal Way Principals Association and all of the Federal Way principals for all of the work you do for our student scholars, our families, our community, all of the employees and teachers in Federal Way. And we have a little token of our appreciation that we'd like to give you, and David's going to kind of explain that.
So on behalf of the Association of Federal Way School Principals, we would like to show our appreciation by allowing you to order compliments of us some Federal Way swag gear. So we're going to give you an order form for one of the Federal Way team shirts. It could be, and there's a lot of options to choose from. And so that'll be compliments of us. So we'll go ahead and give you an order form along with a description. And then you can just turn those in to Ms. McBroom, and she'll make sure we get those and we'll get those ordered for you. Thank you so much for all of your service that you do for our district and for us as an association. Thank you. We'll come deliver to you.
I want to thank the Principals Association again. Now, do we have representation here tonight from the Federal Way Education Association? I know that the president, Jason Brown, had some surgery, and as a result of that surgery, he had complications, and he had planned on being here tonight to honor the board. So I know that it's not an oversight, more so about him probably still being at taking care of his health needs. So I just want to tell you that he stressed how important it was to be here and how much Federal Way Education Association appreciates the service and the support of our school board. So I just give you that on his behalf. You're welcome.
So thank you all very much. We all appreciate it. Our next item on the agenda is good news announcements. So we will start out. Dr. Campbell will go down.
And I get the pleasure of starting off. For District 1, we have some good news tonight. Is Heather Wren in the house? If Heather's here, come on up front while I read a little bit about you. Heather Wren teaches at Federal Way High School. Ms. Wren co-founded the Academic Success Academy, or ASA, in 2008. This program offers students in need of credit retrieval an innovative and challenging way to earn their high school diploma. Since its inception, the program has helped over 190 high school students earn their diplomas. Because of her dedication to her students, Cairo Radio and Washington State Employees Credit Union have honored Heather as a hometown hero and awarded her with $2,000. Thank you, Heather, for your commitment to student success. Next up is Ellie Kim here. Come on up front. Thomas Jefferson High School student Ellie Kim was selected to represent her high school in the All-State Symphony Orchestra in Yakima during the mid-winter break weekend. She played along with the best string players in the state for 2 days of rehearsals, working with some of the leading music teachers in the state and in the nation. We are proud of your musical accomplishments, Ellie. Congratulations.
It is now my pleasure to congratulate Terry Galloway. Terry, a PE teacher, incorporates technology in teaching physical education to our 21st century learners at Decatur High School. Terry's innovative use of tech tools is featured in a video created by our district. OSPI shared the video and reached the CDC, Shape America, and other organizations dedicated to public health, gaining attention on a national scale. Thank you, Terry, for your creativity and commitment to student learning by integrating essential skills in your instruction and ensuring all students are healthy, college and career ready by the time they graduate.
Sorry. Truman campus students such as Samantha Bartlett can learn how to identify a career path, start a business, and develop an entrepreneurial mindset through a new course called Entrepreneurship. Community partnerships, real-world experiences, and presentations from area business leaders help guide students to career paths. Students have visited Seattle Children's Theater to learn about production and costume design, and Academy of Interactive Entertainment to learn about video game designing. At Delano's Coffee, headquartered in the Sumner Valley, they learned how two local businessmen turned a one coffee stand into a multi-million-dollar coffee roasting business. As a 10th grade student, Samantha is actively pursuing her career path and her interests through this course with opportunities to gain soft skills, attend informal interviews, and have an insider look at the work world. Congratulations, Samantha.
Up next for recognition from Todd Beamer High School is Austin Brown here, along with Principal Hall. Great. Austin Brown of Todd Beamer High School has been selected as a recipient of the Washington Career and Technical Education Student Success Award. Austin is one of only 18 recipients of the award in our state. In addition to the CTE Student Success Award, Austin will be nominated on behalf of our state for the U.S. Presidential Scholars Award. If selected, Austin will be expected to join other presidential scholars in a national recognition program to be held June 19th through 21st of this year. Best of luck, Austin, and during the Presidential Scholarship Program, we wish you congratulations on your accomplishments in the CTE program.
All right, so our next item on the agenda is our legislative report. Director Drake.
So this is my first legislative report. I'm learning a lot, and I've got a lot to learn. And I just want to reach out to my co-directors, Claire Wilson, Jeffrey McAnalloy, for the support that they have given me, for the expertise they have, and their willingness to share with me to make this journey that I'm on that much more comfortable. Thank you. Really appreciate. So the legislative session started yesterday, so not a whole lot is happening as yet, and it is going to be a short session. Everyone is saying probably 60 days because of the elections in 2016. At the end of this month, at the end of January, beginning of February, I will be, along with some fellow directors, going to Olympia to meet with our legislators. Obviously, McCleary is high on our list of wanderings, and I'm going to be interested myself and will be reporting to you anything that I discover as we discover it. Something I would like to report on is the act that was signed into law at the middle end of December, 17th of December, Every Student Succeeds Act, that is replacing the No Child Left Behind Act. And it is going to make a difference to us in Federal Way, to us as board directors. The act does center a lot of the action that is taken at the state level. Assessment will still continue in grades 3, 8, and once in the high school, but the when and where is very much more flexible. A lot of the actual mechanics of what is being rolled out is yet to come. State and federal people will be working on this, and again, as we discover the specifics, I will be reaching out to you to make sure you're aware of the impact it's going to have on us as a school district, to our children, to our schools, because I think it's important that we're very aware of such things. Now, in November of 2015, the district, in conjunction with the superintendent and the school board, came up with 10 priorities, legislative priorities. I'm working with the superintendent to start a section within our board directors website to roll out just what our priorities are and to identify action that we're taking so that we're transparent about the legislative priorities we have. They're in conjunction with WASDA priorities, and I'd like to have a link to the WASDA site also so that our public has more awareness of what's going on. Last week, our superintendent, Dr. Campbell, and myself attended a city council breakfast where our legislators, our 3 legislators, were present, and the city presented to the legislators their priorities. Thankfully, we were present, and there was quite a focus on the impact that city decisions has upon us as a school district. And I've got to tell you, I was so proud of our superintendent. Tammy Campbell was asked to actually speak on behalf of the school district. She said some very powerful things, and for me, one of the most powerful things was the importance of our students, our scholars, in the future of our city. And the success of our students also is the success of our city. And I'm looking forward. We both spoke at some length to various people in the room, councillors and representatives in the room, and I'm looking forward to more formalized connections so that there can be true communication between the school district, the city council, and the impact that the city council and the school has upon the success of all of us. So that's my report.
Thank you very much. Great job. All right, next is public comments. So there are blue sheets on the back table. If you wish to comment, you'll need to fill out a sheet and bring it forward. At this point, I have one. So Jason Palmer, you come forward, please.
Hi, I'm Jason Palmer. I'm a senior at Federal Way High School, and I was asked to speak to give some comments on the engineering program at my school, pre-engineering. My teacher's name is Mr. Reagan, and did I say I was a senior? All right, just making sure. So this year, I was actually really surprised when I was signing up for classes to see a pre-engineering class, because it was the first time that they had that. And I was like, yes, please sign me up, because engineering is something that I want to do in college. And I was like, if I can do it right now, then when I step in the classroom, maybe I'll have the necessary skills. And honestly, that's one of the best decisions I've made. Something that I really enjoy about my pre-engineering class is the workplace environment. Mr. Reagan stresses how respect and collaboration is just super important in engineering. So he has a lot of activities based on that. The group work teaches me communication skills with my peers. And it doesn't only make me feel empowered as a leader to be able to speak to different people in the classroom, and people speak to me, but that sort of professional environment that is kind of, I don't want to say forced on us, but required of us as a grade. I feel as if I'm doing something impactful and I'm at a different level, especially in that class. It's one of my favorite classes to go to. Yeah, so besides that, what I really want is just, how can we get this in more schools in a way? I'm not sure if every school has it, if every middle school, every elementary school, but I feel like if more students develop this sort of mindset of collaboration and group work and everything. Mr. Reagan was saying today in the class, he was at an engineering conference or something along that, and they were saying that something that they look for in a lot of engineers is their ability to have a conversation, their ability to have people skills and talk and communicate. And I feel like if we teach students that at a younger age, it's going to benefit them in the long run, especially in different professions, not even just engineering, but a lot of things. And if anything, I wish that I had this for the last 3 years of high school, because I don't know where I would be if I had this for the last 3 years of high school. I'd say, I always think about it because there's freshmen in the class, and I'm like, you guys are so lucky, and to be able to be doing this stuff, especially at this age. How long do I have? 43 seconds, okay. I went to UW for a mathematics program this summer, and some of the things that we're learning in this engineering class is along the lines of what I learned in the mathematics and engineering program. And I feel like the more that I learn it, the more I can communicate it to not only my seniors, but the freshmen are just like learning and getting better. And I feel scared because they're gonna take my job when they go to college. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Next are superintendent comments. Dr. Campbell.
There is just something absolutely incredible about hearing from our young people. I want to thank you for your perspective. And we do have these programs at other schools, but we know that we need to do a better job. So thank you for providing them for inspiration for the work we do every day, because the work is on your behalf. So thank you. I've got a couple things to share. I wanted to start out by saying that I was with Director Drake at the City Council meeting outlining their legislative priorities. And as she said, it presented a real opportunity for the two of us to partner to really provide the rationale as to why those priorities should have an education focus. And I think people in the room picked that up as we began to share and talk. I want to thank Director Drake for telling me about it so that I would even know to be there. It was a very, very good opportunity. I also attended the Teacher Palooza this Saturday, and I want to thank Dan DeZone, our Chief Human Resource Officer, and the team, as well as dozens of principals who showed up on a Saturday, and our central office team who were there, where they were interviewing teachers and really getting an early jump on recruitment and getting the best and the brightest for our students. It's pretty exciting. And I want to just, again, applaud Dan for the energy and enthusiasm that he and the team, Mark, Janet, Dory, Liz, and the people who I didn't name, they are really getting after it because they know this competitive market. And so I just want to thank you. It went very well. We signed some teachers, and we're trying to get an early start on this. I also observed, this was interesting, I observed a joint training between our own security office and the City of Federal Way. They were training our safety and security officers on the techniques of handcuffing and how to use pepper spray. Our very own Dr. Pfeiffer was actually handcuffed and got to experience the shakedown of all of that. It was pretty exciting. But more importantly, we were there to let our security officers know that their training, their professional development is key if our students are going to be safe. So we did attend that training on Saturday as well. I want to also say that on this coming Thursday at Sacagawea, we will have our first community forum for our strategic planning process. It will be in District 1, Director McAnalloy's district, and I want to encourage as many people as possible to come, recognizing we're providing transportation, child supervision, food, story time in Spanish, trying as hard as we can to be inclusive as well as invitational so we get real authentic community engagement. And lastly, I just want to remind folks how important it is to vote on February 9th. Can't say how you should vote, but I think you should vote. There's a lot at stake. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Drake, move to board member comments.
It's an open book, my journey as a school board director. And I would be lying if I said I know where the journey is taking me. I am excited at the opportunities that I'm having to go to meetings, to visit schools to celebrate with them their successes. That's my goal. In District 3, to visit when something special is happening, whether it be an assembly or I'm going to be going to Adelaide for a book an author evening with students and parents. I'm really keen to see all aspects of the successes that are going on in our district. Last week, I had an opportunity to experience a few very rewarding experiences. I went to Twin Lakes on Thursday of last week. Professional development focused around love and logic, and one of our very own district people, Delona Halliday from Mark Twain, was actually delivering one of 9 sessions about more effective communication with students, more effective communication when students aren't necessarily wanting to listen, when students aren't necessarily wanting to do what is needed, and how to develop strategies that de-escalate situations. I found it very rewarding and well attended, and teachers leaving the room saying how beneficial it had been. So I really enjoyed that. On Tuesday, I was invited by Pete von Reichbauer to a leadership session, leaders within the whole of District 30 and beyond. And what I really appreciated was the respect he paid to giving us freedom to really mix and mingle and get to meet people that we didn't know and to hear about some of the work that they were involved with. So I enjoyed that. And Friday, I went to a local engineering business. Charlie Hoff set it up for me. Really had no idea what I was going to see or what I was going to do, but just getting some insights into possibilities for our students. I was saying about graduation and when students leave, to have an idea of what it is out there that students are going to have an opportunity to be part of. Really enjoyed it. So my first week with schools back, really getting a good selection of experiences. So that's my report.
Thank you. Vice President Wilson?
Well, I just have a couple things. I've been doing some things out in the community, and there were a couple new groups and organizations that I have connected with that I think are are a benefit or will continue to be beneficial as we think about how we're meeting the needs and really motivating, inspiring youth. And one was Red-Tailed Hawks Flying Club. And the Red-Tailed Hawks Flying Club is, I went to their youth awards banquet. I was invited by a parent from one of the schools whose child got connected with a club through a teacher at their school. And the club's chartered by the Black Pilots of America. And their vision of this club is legacy, lift, and future thrust. It's grounding students in aviation history, promoting learning through pilot knowledge, and inspiring students to pursue their dreams. And it introduces underserved and underrepresented youth to the world of aviation, and also promotes interest in STEM. The students experience not only the aerospace industry, but also the aerospace facilities that surround us as a district, as well as have the opportunity to fly in simulators and actually go up in planes, and oftentimes leads to their pilot's license. That evening it was a fundraiser, but I had the honor of sitting with Tuskegee Airmen, who was there to speak to the youth about the past and kind of how far pilots have come, and also a captain from United Airlines who was the first man of color to fly an airplane and be hired by United, and then the first captain as well. When I went in the room, I saw parents from our district, but our district did not connect our parents. Our parents got those connections themselves. And so I just think we've got staff in our district that have connections because of their passions, and they oftentimes meet students and will make those connections for them, and we may not even know about that. But as we continue our thinking about CTE and apprenticeship projects and opening opportunities and access, I just think it's an incredible opportunity and would love us to pursue that. So Red-Tailed Hawks Flying Club. It was absolutely, I had no idea what I was going into. On the 21st of December, I had the honor of being invited to a WAFSA workshop, and WAFSA is really about financial aid, especially for our undocumented students. And it was put on by a group called Empowered Familias Alliance, which are parents that happen to be from our school district that are partnering with One America to really think about how they open opportunity access and really information and communication to other parents who are Spanish speaking. And this was the first workshop they did, and they had parents, and they also had student panel. And we're really talking about the fact that we have FAFSA workshops, financial aid workshops, coming up in all our high schools in the coming weeks, because FAFSA opened on January 1. And these are parents who themselves did not and still have a hard time going through systems and understanding as undocumented families or undocumented students how it is or what it is that they are eligible to apply for. And I will say that one of our students used the word that we needed to be bold in our conversations about that. We need to be bold because oftentimes we don't have relationships with students, and we provide them with information to opportunities they can't possibly access or apply for, and don't have the relationship with us to say no or to tell us what their situation is. And we need to be bold because there are many students and families that don't know where to go and don't know where to look and don't know that this is a safe place or that there are resources and supports out there. So on behalf of being bold, I put that out there, and I hope that in our coming years and as we move ahead that we parallel our FAFSA workshops and make sure that parents know their WAFSA support is there as well, and that anyone is welcome because anyone can apply for college scholarships regardless of their status. I also had an opportunity last Saturday to go to a celebration of the Somali Parent Education Board and this Empowered Familias Alliance, and these are leadership groups that have kind of erupted in our communities to really serve the needs of the families, and talked a lot about the celebrations and the things they've done to impact students and families in our community related to school. as well as how they can collaborate together and set goals for 2016. So I really look forward to seeing how we continue to increase our involvement in our collaboration and our allowing our parent leaders to kind of take us up on some space and some time and sharing their knowledge and their information with other parents, but also I think with our staff as well. So had some really great opportunity for learning and conversation the past few weeks.
Director Eto.
Thank you. Through the Washington State School Directors Association, some contacts put me in contact with the Asian Pacific Directors Coalition, and they had arranged a meeting with the Seattle Superintendent of Schools. And looking at the data that he presented, it was pretty clear that nobody's really doing well with diversity. It kind of validated a lot of other data that I'd seen. And so just before the winter break, along with Director Wilson, was at the Education Results Network, and there was a speaker who was focused on equity through a focus on boys and men of color. And certainly there's probably a lot of data that would deal with that, but my real takeaway was that we don't need gimmicks. And I really came to appreciate through that the approach that we're taking here, that Dr. Campbell's taking here, in taking a systematic look at our landscape and really trying to figure out what's going to work for us, as opposed to just taking a knee-jerk reaction and implementing this, that, or the other. And I think that we're on a really good track, and I'm hoping that the public also sees that we're taking a collaborative approach. She is taking a collaborative approach. It's a listen first to understand approach. And I think that's really what we need to make improvements. So with the new year here, I'm really looking forward to seeing incremental changes and data-driven so that we can see what things are working and what's not. But I know there's a lot of folks that have great ideas and they talk and talk and talk about things, but I'm thinking that we're really going to do something about it, and really looking forward to that this year.
Director Gregory.
I don't have anything at this time other than to be glad that I'm back.
Welcome back. So I visited, last week I visited Nautilus and got to partake and view their monthly celebratory assembly that they do to recognize all students that have perfect attendance, to recognize things that they do safety awards as well. They do a WOW award based on how student behavior is as a class. And it's amazing when you stop to recognize students and just take that time to do that. Just the environment, when you pack 500 students into a gymnasium and they're all sitting crisscross applesauce, right, for almost an hour, just the behavior and the difference when it is something that we take time as adults to stop and recognize what they're doing and how they're doing it and how we get to celebrate them. It was pretty amazing. Tomorrow I will actually visit Adelaide as well. And get to watch and observe one of their PLCs. I think it's third grade PLCs that I'll watch tomorrow. And then last weekend, I am now the vice chair of the WASDA Legislative Committee. So we went down to organize and get ready for our Day on the Hill on February 1st, as Director Drake shared, getting all of that ready and making sure we're making all our calls, and Director Area 2 contracting 45 legislators to set those appointments and get everything set for that day. So it's exciting work that's happening. I will leave a week from Friday for DC to go and meet with our congressmen and our 2 senators as well. There's a contingency of about 40 of us from the state going. I think there are 4 of us out of this congressional district that will meet with Congressman Smith and both of our senators. So I'm excited about that work as well, to understand what's happening at the national level. Part of the feedback that was given this weekend is that there will probably be 0 movement in McCleary this year. There probably won't be anything that comes out of it based on everybody being concerned about keeping their seats, right? So that's probably what's really going to happen over the next 60 days, and it probably will only stick in 60 days. So our main priority is trying to get bonds at a 50%, so we don't have 60% as we see some of our neighboring school districts struggling and failing. 127 votes, I think, was the shortage that happened from the 60% in High Line. And there's a dire need. I mean, it's definitely, we see that. So the top 3 priorities are that and capital improvements. So that will be a part of our message as we go down to meet with our legislators to make sure that they understand that that's our focus. McCleary is always a focus. We need to continue to fund basic education and make sure that happens and get it done sooner than later. But that's all I have at this point. Oh, no, sorry, strategic plan on Thursday. It is District 1 that's happening. So again, Dr. Campbell already talked about this, but I'm going to reiterate it. It's very important. We need everybody's input. We want to make sure that we have family input into this. So I'm encouraging all of you to please come. You don't have to be in District 1 to come on Thursday, but it's everybody that can come throughout the district. It's just at 5 different spots. We're trying to make it so it becomes something that is across the all 5 districts. So we've picked one spot in each district, but anybody can come to any of them. And as Dr. Campbell also said, February 9th, the tech levy, please vote. It's imperative that you vote to take care of our student scholars and continue this. It is not an increase in a tax. It's just a continued tax forward on $4 million for the next 6 years, $24 million total. It's just a renewal, not new tax. It's not an increase, so please vote. And our next item, Dr. Campbell will give us her 100-day report.
Good evening, President McAnalloy, members of the board. Today I'll be sharing with you the summary report from my activities based on my 100-day entry plan. In your folder, you should have the PowerPoint that I'm going to be sharing, but you should also have the actual final report in front of you. So the presentation today will give you the highlights of the activities that I have engaged in, as well as what I've learned after talking to over 610 staff members and almost 500 family and community who wrote responses to some questions that I will be posing, and I'll be sharing with you some of the big ideas from that. So the goals for today is for me to share with you my progress in accomplishing the goals in my 100-day entry plan, to provide a summary report on what I learned, and to outline next steps in my work to position Federal Way Public Schools as one of the best districts in the region, in fact, across the state. If you recall, the entry plan that you vetted first before I even took it to the transition team had 5 goals. And these are the 5 goals. One was around board superintendent relationship, and I'll share a little bit about the work that we've done. Many of you know the hours that we've put in as a team to get sharper, to get more collaborative, and to get more coherent and clear about our vision together. Goal 2, for me to gain a deeper understanding of our organizational strengths. Goal 3, to strengthen family and community engagement and enhance communication. Goal 4, to promote and ensure a positive, collaborative, and constructive climate. And Goal 5 really has to do with those critical issues that I have wanted to assess and get a sense of right out of the gate, right away. Before I began my entry activities, as early as April, I started pre-entry activities. And you see the list of them, and they were all complete. I'll give you some highlights. Board Superintendent Retreat and Learning as a team was one activity. Another was the widespread sharing of my 100-day entry plan, including bringing together a transition team of almost 80 people to look at it and who gave me feedback on it, and then some revision of that. Conversations with community leaders. Poverty Bay was one of my favorite hangouts. Meeting with different folks at churches and at homes. And I also made sure to connect with former superintendents Tom Murphy and Tom Vander Ark. And I have to tell you, I stay in communication with them to this point. For example, the work that we're doing right now as we're learning about technology, Tom Vander Ark has been really helpful in helping us to think about different places we can go and see and observe to find out what schools are doing work around cutting edge technology. Entry plan goal 1. I want to share with you that the activities related to the board superintendent relationship, almost all of them can be marked as complete. The one item that is still in progress is the calendaring of the board, school, and superintendent school visits, and we'll be calendaring those for the 16-17 school year. Some highlights of that are that we meet regularly in one-on-one sessions as a board member, superintendent. So once a month I meet one-on-one with each of you so that we deepen our understanding of the work that's happening inside the organization. So far, we have put in about 7 days, 51 hours of retreats, specifically focusing on sharpening our skills around policy governance. In fact, this Saturday, we're due up for another 6 hours of learning and training together. Because what we know when we read the research, that the most important thing in the overall health of a district to mobilize and to actually act upon its goal is that partnership between the board and superintendent and how key it is. So we've invested that time, and we will continue to do so. Goal 2, this is really about assessing the organizational health. And as you can see, a lot of these are complete. Some of these aren't meant to be complete. Some of these will be ongoing activities like evaluating the performance of all schools. That's an ongoing thing, so you don't really mark that complete. But many of the things like the site visits and going to every school, spending 2 hours there, I completed that by December 17th. So wanting to be sure that the community knew that we had made good on the promises we made in this plan. Some highlights are that I completed 39 2-hour school visits. It was at that time that I did a lot of this data collection that I'll be sharing with you in a moment. I met with every principal and central office leader in a one-on-one meeting to assess the organizational strengths and areas for growth. I did that beginning in April. And those conversations continued throughout the summer. I met with high school students who were in danger of dropping out. I rode a bus route, like I said, as well as I then asked our leadership team to do so as well. I'll be interested to hear how that goes at our next leadership team meeting, as I know how excited they were to do the same thing as their fearless leader. I feel like we're enhancing the relationship between our association. That's an ongoing partnership between our principal association as well as our formal Federal Way Education Association and other association groups. Goal 3, strengthening family and community engagement. Again, these are the activities that are complete, and the things that are ongoing are continuing to engage in non-traditional outreach to parents and communities. One of the most exciting things that's come out of this particular work is our Deep Dive 3 success. So Federal Way procured the Deep Dive 3 grant, where we're going to be working with 5 of our schools to train parents, leaders who are bilingual, to be leaders of a parent academy for other parents, and to train parents on what they want to know to be successful in helping their students be successful, so they can broker the culture of schools. And so you'll be getting an update on that, but we're really excited about it. And I know our particular grant proposal was one of the more allotted proposals, and it was because of the collaborative nature and how we really involved our community-based organizations. One other area here was to begin the strategic planning process, and we have a target rollout of that plan sometime in May or 2016. I engaged in a ride-along with the Federal Way Police Chief, Andy Wong, and I'll tell you that partnership has really been helpful. For example, he's been really helpful in helping us to continue to train our own security officers, and he's got some ideas about how we might continue to partner as a city and school district. And one of the things that I've really been excited about, and I think has really allowed me to get sort of a sense of what's happening in the building, is the 18-member principal advisory that I meet with once a month. So as we're thinking about things, we're running it by that group, and they're talking to me about why this might be a good idea, why not a good idea, but more importantly, getting input and feedback from principals on a real-time basis as we're moving and doing some of the things that Director Edo talked about, being partners with our principals. Goal 4 is around this positive, collaborative, and constructive climate. And one ongoing task is developing systems showcasing students, staff, and school success. I don't think you ever get there. I think that's something that is an ongoing strategy, but just a few ideas of what we've done. We're continuing to model the practice of active listening. So that's really critical. We're engaging those 2-hour visits, for example. That was another avenue to continue to listen and gain a sense of what our staff have to say about what works and what doesn't. And even our work around the good news announcements, which is something that we decided to do as a board superintendent team. That's another way to elevate the successes that are happening out in our schools and having an asset model around what's working. And lastly, goal 5, which is around the critical issues. As you can see, the area that is still in progress is continuing to monitor students who are in danger of not graduating, and we could do a better job of that. In the reorg, you're going to hear me talk a little bit about how we're going to actually reorg so we have a division or a lead on tracking down every student who somehow is off tracks at some targeted grade levels. So we really can be intentional about that 15% of the kids who are not graduating and being much more proactive about that. So we're thinking about that as we're looking at our reorg. So looking at project plans for departments, as well as looking at our budget to make adjustments in response to feedback. One thing that we did right away was we launched an English language arts adoption because so many people said we did not have reading and writing curriculum. That was so overwhelming that we knew we needed to act on that right away so our student scholars had the instruction that they needed. So those are the activities that I engaged in. Now what I want to shift to is share with you what I learned. And I will share these things with you for what families and communities said and what staff said. I will begin by telling you the themes overall. I will share with you then some highlights, and they're ranked in the order in which they were most frequently said. And then I'll share with you just a few quotes so you get a flavor for the voice of parent, families, and communities. So what is working well? When I asked that question of our families and community, most of them talked about this overwhelming positive feeling about the school their children attend. And it's not uncommon. When you look at the PDK research, most people feel good about their local school. They felt good about their school. They shared that overall, they felt that staff care for and support students at their school. A common comment shared by many families, though, was the value for the family liaisons at elementary school. I heard a lot of families who felt that that support was a key anchor for families who might not typically be sort of linked into the school. What is working well? Communication and culture at my child's school, support by my child's teacher, and parent and family engagement. Those were the top 3 in terms of frequency distribution. The quotes that they said in their own words, our staff have a care and concern for students. I feel welcome in my child's school and my daughter loves her school. Those are common comments. The family liaisons have been huge and I feel comfortable going to the principal with my concerns. So what I heard was because the family liaisons were there, that was a way for them to get into the school, and that allowed a much more comfortable pathway then for them to have conversations with the principals where they may or may not have been comfortable before. So that's what they shared as working well as a theme. I should also add that when the transition team convened in December, I had them to look at the data, so it wasn't just me who looked at the data. And so about 25 people went through this data and generated some of the themes to help vet some of what I'll be sharing with you today, and I want to make sure that that's noted as well. When I asked them what isn't working well, here's what they said. On average, 8 out of 10 families listed the improvement of the academic achievement for their school and for their student as one of the most important things they wanted the school district and the superintendent to focus on. So when I think about my selection and the board really making that a priority, that's what the community has yet again said. They want to see that academic achievement improve. A significant number of families shared the negative impact that late starts had on their schedules. That came up quite a bit, because we surveyed before we had actually gone to these early dismissals. But I wanted to include this in here because it was one of the most common areas of concern. Believe it or not, school lunches was one of the most tallied. Our families felt that school lunches and food quality concerns were shared by a large number of families. Many families shared the need to enhance interpreting supports at all schools so that all families have full access in supporting their child's learning. And finally, many parents shared their frustration with the online grades not being maintained on an ongoing basis because they felt like if they wanted to help their child stay on track with those grades not being uploaded on an ongoing basis, it was hard to do that. So those were the ones that were tallied the most. So let's look at it again. Academics, late starts, school lunches, discipline. One of the areas that I didn't say, there were comments around discipline and misbehavior, with families asking the question, can't you just, there's this young student who's misbehaving, can't you just not have them come back? And I explained this whole notion about a free and appropriate education and our students' right to those, but that we are working on love and logic. We're working on restorative practices, those different types of strategies that help students to learn from misbehavior and stay in school. The need for more interpreters and communication at the building and district, specifically focused on grades being uploaded into Parent View in a timely fashion so parents can support their student. Here are the quotes. The district does not make decisions based on what is best for kids. The lack of classroom materials is horrible. Our children deserve resources in order to learn. I attribute this to that curriculum piece that you're going to hear staff constantly talk about. The half days are not working and have had a negative impact on my ability to go to work. The food is not good. My child asked me to send them with food because the food they won't eat it. School lunches are frozen, poor quality food. Quality needs to be improved. There's a lot of misbehavior in my son's classroom. Why is one student allowed to disrupt the learning for the entire class? And I want to monitor my students' progress frequently. It is hard to be responsible to check on my child's progress when teachers are not inputting grades on a consistent and ongoing basis. Those are the direct quotes pulled from the statements from our stakeholders. The third question that I asked is, what do you expect of your superintendent? And here are the themes for what the families and communities say they expect of me as a superintendent. They saw a key strategy was focusing professional development towards all staff. So learning and making sure our staffs had access to professional development. A number of parents expressed frustration at not being able to access real-time progress around grades. That was another high priority item. I would say to you, the other one was visibility and accessibility. They wanted a superintendent who they saw out in the community, out at events, out at schools, and out and about. And they also expressed a need to ensure that schools are inclusive and welcoming to all families, particularly ELL families and communities of color. So that's what they shared as key expectations of their superintendent. What is most important, and the top three, focus on improvement in the academic achievement in Federal Way. A superintendent who's visible and accessible was number 2, and improved communication, school lunches, safety, and security. Those are the top 3. In their own words, I want to see academic progress, students at grade level in reading and math. Teachers and leaders need more training, period. That's that professional development piece. I want my children to have a visible path from elementary through high school. Our system feels disjointed. This is where we can actually have that systems approach. I want to see a superintendent who sets the vision, direction, and leads with transparency. Please set a tone in the district and across all schools that says parents are welcome. Those are some of the key quotes that I pulled out that kept coming up. So let's now shift to our staff. What did our staff say? What is working? Well, it's very similar in some ways to what our families said, that staff actually felt really good about their colleagues in their buildings, in their schools. There was a pride about their colleagues and peers and their commitment and dedication to students. With the launch of formalized professional learning, professional development focused on professional learning communities, PLCs, that was very popular. And I really want to attribute that in large measure to the work of Dr. Pfeiffer and Diane Holt and that team who convened a training this summer around PLCs. I will say that there was a galvanizing around that, and a lot of staff really talked about how that was helpful. You could almost hear them describing how it took a pressure off because it wasn't you as an individual, you were working with the team. And so that the PLC strategy was one that kept coming up. So in terms of priorities, staff, administrative team, and a team of people I work with are dedicated, supportive, and team-oriented. 8 out of 10 staff said that. They felt good about their team. PLCs was the second most popular. Systems of support, specifically coaching and the mentoring program, were really highly regarded. and a culture focused on supporting all kids. You heard a lot of staff feeling like that was something they felt pride about, that Federal Way was about all kids. And lastly, a new superintendent, there was a lot of comments about the appreciation that I was out in schools and taking the time to visit and connect with them. In their own words, we have a strong support staff that supports one another and we work well together. I feel like I have had administrative support from my principal. A lot of comments about the principals being supportive of their teams, teachers writing that in the comments. PLC time is valuable and helps me improve learning in my classroom. I like how our PLCs are creating a very collaborative team in our department. We're looking at student work and data every week, and in some cases every day. So this is important as we have community ask us about these early dismissals, what our staff are really describing, how they're using that time. These are some of the comments. Coaching is top-notch at this school. Grade level teams are now working more closely together. So those are just a few of the comments. What isn't working? This was almost unanimous across the principals as well as our teaching and staff. Both certificated and administrative staff expressed the need to provide updated and high-quality instructional materials, curriculum for students. New teachers as well as veteran teachers shared the negative impact of having to recreate the wheel and writing curriculum when they're brand new to the profession and how much time that takes. Staff shared the need to identify a focus and commit to it for several years. They talked about how different initiatives, sort of programs that they saw as a flash in the pan, they really wanted to get clear about what we were focusing on and stick to it and not have all these changes. And staff and parents shared a need to provide training for staff on discipline and cultural competency. So those were things that people specifically talked about with the changing demographic, how important it was that our staff receive training in this area. So in terms of priorities, minimal or no updated aligned curriculum. Staffing in a transparent and equitable manner. This really is about what they perceive is happening at different buildings. And we're having conversations how we can have staffing in a much more by level so people see what other people are getting and there's no mystery to that. And the sub-shortage, technology access, and professional development was another area where teachers shared some frustration. And I see the tech levy and our systematic plan around professional development addressing some of those issues. In their own words, I need curriculum so that I'm not individually writing curriculum and recreating the wheel. There have been many changes in the past 3 to 5 years. I believe teachers and parents are feeling the need to be on the same page with common language and goals. We need training on discipline and behavior management. Because Federal Way is so diverse, I believe that we really need to focus on the support for our bilingual English language learners, students, and families. We need to support our general education teachers in serving these students. Those are just a few of the quotes. And what are the expectations that they have for their superintendent? And it's very similar to what the families said. A strong vision, visible, accessible, and an immediate focus on providing high-quality standards-aligned curriculum. We call that the Guaranteed Bible. Making sure that if no matter the course, they have the materials that they need to do the job that they're really putting their heart and soul in. That's really what they're asking. And when you prioritize it, they want to see their superintendent. They want to know that you're out there. They want to know you can relate and connect with them. They want to know that I have an understanding of the needs of the staff while creating a culture of collaboration, focus, and sustained academic improvement. They want us to maintain a focus on students, address the lack of curriculum, and clear and consistent communication. In their own words, provide a vision for what a turnaround district or school looks like when increasing student learning for staff to reach for. I expect our superintendent to bring our schools together to make sure we have curriculum and professional development that will push us to continuously grow and improve our instruction. What was impressive, you didn't really see comments about people not wanting to do it. It was so inspiring to see people talking about wanting to do it, just needing the tools to do it. Please make sure we have quality curriculum and materials to teach with. You need to be visible, coming into classrooms, being involved in our schools, and listening to us. So those are the themes across the two different groups. And here are the next steps, and it's pretty simple. These themes I'll be sharing with the leadership team. I will be emailing this information out in the summary that you have out to all staff, because I made a commitment to follow back up with that. So we'll be sharing that out with them. We'll put it on the website, and in multiple forums outside in the community, I will continue to share this information the same way I shared the entry plan on the front end. This will also inform the strategies in the strategic plan. A lot of what we're hearing here has come up during some of the strategic planning conversations, so in some ways we're seeing alignment. And as we're looking to reorg, the key piece now is to get everybody on the right seats of the bus in the central office so we can be nimble enough and strategic enough and intentional enough and responsive enough to respond to what our staff and our families have said. That's the presentation. Given you a lot. It feels like that was a whole lot more than 6 months ago. Do you have questions of me?
Director Gregory?
I didn't fully understand the transparency question on staffing.
Okay, sure. I think when I remember this question, Director Gregory, it is this idea of at our school we have this staffing force, maybe it's counseling, maybe it's APs. This school has something different. Why is that? And I think Federal Way for years has had each school kind of determining that. But our strategic plan will have specific strategies, and we're going to have to go to a much more consistent system-wide approach to that. And I think staff want to know the reason for that. They want to know why that is. And there are ways you can do staffing where people can see it, and it can be much more transparent. And our team is already starting to talk about how we can go about doing that. Did that help?
Yes, this isn't a question, but I'm very impressed. I think that some of that we probably knew intuitively, but to see the rigor that you put forward to bring the community and the staff together to think about this and to give some direction is really going to benefit us as we look at the strategic plan and beyond. And when people can see themselves in a process which these results provide, I think that's a really strong message of what your commitment is to the community and to the students. So I'm impressed.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Gregory.
I'd just like to comment on the idea of the need for professional development as a means of addressing, improved student outcomes, and this idea of capacity. What I read capacity to mean is almost like the ability of this institution to create things. And when my kids went to school here, they were truly the minority, and today it's really a much more diverse population. And so if we had a system, if we change this to minting coins, we had a system that was all set up for brass, and now we have aluminum, tin, silver, gold. The process has to change, and so before it was okay with just a predominant type of student coming through to get a particular outcome, and that's not working anymore. And so I like this idea that you've got ways of gauging how the student's doing and engaging early on and having the teachers collaborate in a way that they can do that. It's really something that I think is going to make tremendous change. Thanks.
I love it, and I guess the one thing that I would say is I've not run into anybody who didn't know you had a 100-day plan, and that's huge. And to have in public meetings and working again with groups of parents that not only can speak about it, but can speak about their leadership and their involvement in that, and the ownership and the pride they take in that is wonderful. So everything that we do, I think, strengthens our community and strengthens our children's outcomes, and this just gives us a really nice roadmap and a place to start as we move ahead with our strategic plan. So
yeah,
thanks.
I will just add, often you see plans, but you don't see the summary reports, and I wanted to be sure I came back with the summary report because that really does show we've got to be results and outcome driven. We can't just be process driven. So the process was that entry plan. The report are some of the outcomes that we want to really drive it. And so I will be out communicating this just as heavily as I did the actual activities themselves.
I echo the positive accolades that my fellow directors are. I think you're modeling exactly what it is that is going to make the huge change in our district. So you're sending this out to teachers and then following it up with meetings?
No, what I'll do is do an all-staff communication, and they will see this embedded in that communication. I will work with communication, and in my next mailing that goes out, this will be embedded there with the findings. It will be on the website, just like my plan, and I'll be referring to it in a multitude of venues, as well as asking my cabinet, the deputy, and different folks to message it out. Multifaceted messaging and communicating. Because it's critical that people know that all that time they spent to give me these findings, that we did something with them.
Yeah.
So.
Well done.
You know, it's hard to believe that it's been 9 months, right? When we made a decision 9 months ago. I mean, because to me it feels like years, a lifetime really.
It does,
right?
sometimes.
So I have to commend you for the work that has been done. I have to commend you for your dedication and commitment to all levels of this organization, from the student up, right? The students are at the top really, so student down, I think, because we have to hold them up. And that your student-centered focus around every decision and everything that you do is clear. And the entrenchment that has happened with you in this community and in this district, when we stop and look at the time frame that it really is, July 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're really talking about 6 months, even though you've been doing work for 9 months, right? All I can tell you is thank you. And I want to thank the board for the decision we made, because the direction we're going and what we all want as board, you're definitely the person at the helm to make the differences for the students, and what we really want is outcomes. And I think we've clearly heard that, and I don't think we could have a better leader to lead us forward into the future. So thank you.
I just want to say it is so much easier to do it with you lifting me up on your shoulders. One of the things that I work really hard at is making sure you're not surprised, whether that's one-on-one, the time that I'm taking, and we're going to need to lock arm in arm, because the change to get us where we want to be will not always signify joy and happy, but it has to happen, because we've got to now organize to do what those parents have entrusted me to do, and I take that very seriously. For that young man who sat there and shared his story, he's representing 22,500 kids, and I really want to make good on what I've said we were going to do. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we're adjourned.